What is going on, Chiefs Kingdom? We are going to ask the dumbest question I have maybe ever heard in regards to the Kansas City Chiefs. And that question is, are the Chiefs the worst 11-1 team in NFL history? So, I'm Gary McKenzie, your host. Welcome here to RGR Football. I am so glad to have you. And all of this question about the Chiefs being the worst 11-1 team in NFL history is stemming from a table, a graphic that was provided by Stathole Sports that essentially gave a listing of the point differential of all NFL teams since the NFL merger in 1970 who have been 11-1. So, the top of this list, the best point differential for NFL teams since the merger who are 11-1 are the Washington Redskins in 1991. Awesome team. They had a 200-plus point differential and would eventually go on to win the Super Bowl. At the bottom of this list are none other than our beloved 2024 Kansas City Chiefs with a point differential of 54. So what this graph is trying to say is that the Chiefs are the worst 11-1 team in NFL history because they have the lowest point differential for an NFL team that was 11-1 since the merger. The first thing I want to say in terms of how stupid this whole table is, how stupid this whole conversation is, that the Chiefs are 11-1. Having this conversation about which team is the worst 11-1 team is like having a conversation about who the poorest billionaire is. The billionaire sitting there like, I don't care. I have $1 billion. Just like the Chiefs are sitting here, I don't care. We're 11-1. We've clinched the playoff spot already, and there's 5 weeks left in the NFL season. So I want to start with just how preposterous this question even is. And behind this chart is a presupposition that point differential matters in the NFL. Point differential leads to success in the playoffs. Point differential means you are a better team. And I'm going to undercut this entire presupposition that point differential even matters. So, the first thing I want to speak to in regards to this graph that's trying to show that the Chiefs are fraudulent is that the team in this graph that is the closest to the Chiefs are the 1976 Oakland Raiders, who had around a 75 point differential with their 11-1 record. This is the team that is second closest, or that is closest to the Chiefs, the second worst point differential for an 11-1 team in NFL history. And you know what that team did? They won the Super Bowl. So if you're going to try and show me a statistic to try to say the Chiefs are fraudulent, don't show me a data point that is most adjacent to them, that is the closest to them, that won the Super Bowl. Because what are we doing here? In addition to that, to undercut the entire argument of point differential mattering in terms of who the best teams are, the first thing I want to say is that what if your schedule is really difficult? What if you beat 12 really good teams, and that's why your point differential is not as high as another team who maybe played the easiest schedule? So there's one argument, but the stronger argument is the following. In the past 7 seasons, the number one point differential team in the NFL have won 0 Super Bowls. None. So, if point differential is so important, why haven't these teams that won point differential won the Super Bowl, which is inarguably the area where we put the best teams in the NFL every year? If you want to be called the best team, you got to win the Super Bowl. So why are these teams who have the best point differential not winning the Super Bowl? In fact, I went back and looked at all the Super Bowls since 1999 in what I declare is the passing era or the hyper-passing era of the NFL. 5 of these teams had the number 1 point differential. 4 of them had the number 2 point differential. 2 of them had number 3 point differential. 5 of them had the number 4 point differential. 1 of them had the number 5 point differential. And then 6 or greater, 8 of those teams. So if point differential is so important and the Chiefs are frauds because they're not blowing everyone out, why is it that the plurality of Super Bowl winners are not in the top 5? If it's so important. In addition to that, the Chiefs have been winning close games. In fact, they're close to setting the record for most one-score games won consecutively. And you know the other team that they're trying to beat this record with? The 2003-2004 Patriots, who are also tremendous teams in terms of winning Super Bowls early in Tom Brady's career. And I am of the belief that if you want to be truly great at something in life, you must practice it. And if you do not have many one-score games under your belt, you aren't used to playing in these tense environments, then you are not going to be quite as equipped as another team who has done it a lot whenever it comes time to win that one-score game. So if you look at NFL teams and NFL quarterbacks, Patrick Mahomes has more one-score victories, more close, hard-fought wins than any other quarterback in the AFC, and even all of the quarterbacks in the AFC combined. When you get to the playoffs, what happens in the playoffs? Are you blowing people out usually? No. You're usually playing in close football games, one-score games. So if you're a team who has not played in many one-score games throughout the year, you don't have as much experience to draw on as a team like the Chiefs. So I would argue that, yes, it is good to have blowout victories. That is not a bad thing. But I'm also arguing that practicing one-score wins, one-score victories, prepares you very well for the postseason, especially since a lot of the games in the postseason are won by one score. So undercutting the entire argument that point differential matters, that this conversation about the Chiefs being a bad 11-1 team, I'm throwing that all out simply because if point differential is so important, why haven't more number 1 teams in terms of point differential won the Super Bowl in the past 7 years? In addition to that, I'm saying teams that are good at winning one-score games helps them in the playoffs. And in terms of the Chiefs, yeah, things haven't looked pretty the past couple of weeks versus bad teams. But the areas where they are struggling are areas that they're going to improve because of personnel. So left tackle position is going to get better whenever DJ Humphries can play. Wide receiver position is going to get better once Hollywood Brown comes into the fray. We already saw the pass rush get better with Charles Omenihu coming back. The only area where the Chiefs are not able to improve in terms of a personnel standpoint is at the cornerback position. And once Jalen Watson got hurt, things have looked rough for that group. However, Steve Spagnuolo, throughout his entire history of being a defensive coordinator, has created schemes that are helpful and beneficial to secondary groups who may have some problems. So it's almost like this perfect mixture for the Chiefs is brewing, and they just keep winning in the meantime. Moving on to the Chargers game, I think this is a very good matchup for the Chiefs. The Chargers are not a team that is necessarily equipped offensively to beat the Chiefs. The Chiefs are good against the run. The Chargers like to run. The Chargers do not have a lot of talented wide receivers. In fact, I think last week Ladd McConkey had something like 9 of their 13 or 14 receptions for receivers. So they are looking directly at Ladd McConkey. You shut Ladd McConkey out in this game, and the Chiefs are going to win. I think the Chiefs are going to pull out a victory 17-13. yet another one-score game, and the rest of the NFL world will continue to have their faces melt off as they just can't comprehend how this team keeps winning one-score games. And I'm telling you, they're winning them because they have practiced them. They know how to win them. They've got Mahomes, who has the most experience winning these games in the entire NFL, and they've got Andy Reid. So that's where I stand on all that. The Chiefs are not frauds. It hasn't looked pretty the past couple weeks, but things are going to improve, and they're getting better at things that really matter in terms of going forward. So let me know down in the comments, what do you think about the Chiefs' 11-1 start? Do you think that this is the worst 11-1 team ever? Or do you think that's a bunch of crap like I do? What do you think is going to happen in this Chargers game? And you made it this far in the video, go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe if you've not done so already. Last week, someone got on to me. They said, Gary, listen, you've passed 30,000 subscribers. You can finally stop talking about it. And to that I say, I thank you all so much for helping us reach that goal. And now I get to talk about us reaching 31,000 subscribers. And I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to put you through that. We'll leave that. We'll leave that there in the past. But thank you all for stopping by. Let's go Chiefs. Let me know your predictions in the comments. Let me know what you think about that 11-1 record bullcrap in the comments as well. But with that, this is Gary signing out. Y'all take care.
Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.